Next, I'll call André Ramos from Tripaya. Come on up on stage. Enjoy your 15 minutes. Thank you.
Please, have a seat. All right. Give us a quick blurb. What are you up to?
So Tripaya is a new travel site. Tripaya is a new travel site with a different rationale that will help the users not only find the best hotels and the best flights, but also the best destinations. So what is this different rationale? Instead of forcing the people to say where they are from and where they want to go, all they have to say is what is their budget and their interests. So let's say I have 500 euros and I want to go to the beach. And then Tripaya will suggest the best destinations within the budget with flight and hotel included.
How long have you been working on this? Tell us what stage you're at, users, whatever it is.
We are online for 1 year now. We have been growing month by month in double digits, organically only, because we don't have any investment. We started with 0 users in the first day, and now, in the last month, we had 30K.
30,000.
30,000 unique visitors. That's it.
And you make money from referrals, commissions,
We have a double revenue stream, meaning we make money by generating leads to our partners, but also if the user buys the hotel, we get a commission from the hotel.
Do you guys have questions?
Well, if you put yourself in I'm not a B2C guy, but if you put yourself in an investor's shoes and you think about that discussion they're going to have internally about why they're going to fund your business, right? What's the investment thesis for them, right? Because what you're describing sounds sort of new, but I've seen sort of similar solutions out there. So is the investment thesis novelty? Is it UI? Is it great marketing? Is it the team? Like, what's the investment thesis for investors when they look at this?
What we see is that online travel is huge, and there are a lot of competition. But we see that in the end, what prevails is the user experience, because people, when you look to all the major travel sites, they all sell the same thing almost. But people tend to use one site, other people tend to use other site, and that's because they feel they like more the user experience. So that's what we tried, not only by delivering a new way of search for trips and also having a curated list of destinations, but also by offering a different user experience. So people can book a trip on Tripaya in only 3 steps. For example, our homepage, we have only 3% bounce rate because we reduce the forms. Normally, when you go to Kayak, to Expedia, at least you have to fill 5 or 6 forms. In Tripaya, you just have to fill 1 form with the budget. So we are trying to change the way people book their trips. We believe that the trip begins not when the user reaches the country, but when they start looking for the trip, and that's what Tripaya offers. When you are using Tripaya, you feel that you are already traveling.
Sorry, can I ask a question? What's the so you have 30,000 users. Tell me a little bit about the users. Are they where are they mainly from? Are they specific? What sort of is the specific? Are they younger people, older people? Just trying to understand what the.
So, what we see in demographics is younger people. We see a lot. The majority of travels, the user search is weekend getaways. So people from 18 to 25, they look a lot weekend getaways, with budgets starting with 100 euros to 200 euros. So they just want to live.
Where are they mainly from? What's the geographic?
So, since we didn't have investment, we use our network of friends and people that we know. So we now have 65% of traffic from Portugal. Then the second country is the United States. Okay. Although we never did anything specific to the United States. And then comes UK, Germany, France, Italy, all the other European countries.
So what's your question and challenge?
So now our biggest challenge is we are acquiring now customers both organically and paying. But what we want is the difference between the organic growth and the paid growth decrease. So what we want is that the organic growth passes the paid growth, because now the paying users are more than the organically users.
What are you doing for paid advertising right now?
We use the Facebook ads and the AdWords.
Okay. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, I see a lot of people working on. I mean, just about a week ago, we were selecting the startup for our next batch, and I think we had 2 startups that were proposing similar sort of experience. So there's potentially some tweaks, and really the question, which I think is going to pop up most of the time when you're going to be talking to investors, is how are you any different? And this could be, is this on the product side? Is this in the catalog space? Or is it just because you are the killer team that's just going to be any better than the other one?
Okay. I think one of the biggest differences is people nowadays, they don't just want to travel, they want unique experiences. Mm-hmm. And that's why what we can offer. Because when you go to a major travel site, the destinations you see is almost the cities with airport, because you have to choose from Lisbon to London, for example. But in Tripaya, you will see different destinations that normally you don't see, and probably you will never know if it wasn't for Tripaya. For example, you can stay in North Finland sleeping in an ice igloo. You can sleep in a cave in Turkey. So there are a lot of different experiences. But also the team, of course. Our team has more than 10 years developing travel solutions. We have been responsible for some of the major travel sites in Portugal. So we are confident that whatever goes on our minds, we will put it online.
Okay. So let me just answer your sort of growth question, right? So we're fairly known for growth. I come from a sales and marketing background. Mm-hmm. So here's 2 ways if you're looking to grow, there's really 2 ways of doing it. One, which is, and there's nothing wrong with either one, right? One, which is, are you an acquisition of getting more users and more sort of folks, or is it just getting the users that you have right now and actually getting them to sort of use your product more and buy your product more? And I think it's one or the other, sort of if you're going to have some initial focus. And so let me ask you a quick question. Are you collecting emails? Or do you have a newsletter that you're doing on a regular basis? Is there stuff that you're doing? Are you doing content marketing? What are you doing? Are you doing any of these things?
What we are doing is the first option you mentioned. We just want to attract new users, mm-hmm. Because with them we can have more data and learn more. Sure. The trends, and we can improve Tripaya in order to respond better to them.
Okay. So if I were you, based on your answer, just it's about acquiring more users, but you don't want to use paid advertising, preferably, right? Yeah. My general thoughts is, I think partnerships with travel sort of blogs, those are not expensive. Mm-hmm. The other thing I would think about considering doing is actually investing some money in content marketing. So basically very good travel-related sort of content. That also makes it easier to do partnerships with specific blogs. And this is also on the assumption that you have gone and identified like really specific use cases and very, very specific users, where it's like, I see that, I use this a lot of like the 20/80 rule of like, yeah, 20% of your customer base is going to drive like 80% of your results. And so if I were you, I would go and focus on learning as much and looking at your analytics of your mm-hmm. user base and try to figure out like, who are these people, and figure out sort of like archetypes of them, and then understand a little bit more of like, where are these people hanging out, right? Are they going to specific blogs? Are they going to specific sites? And whether through paid advertising or other things, how do you reach them, sort of get them over to the site? If you do that, you'll be further ahead than probably 80-90% of sort of sites out there.
Yeah. So we kind of divide all the people in 2 groups. The group of people that take the 20 days of holidays and just go to one place the 20 days in a row, and the other part that take 3 days and make 10 holidays on a year. And that the kind of group we are focusing, the people that
the second one,
the people that travel 10 times a year. And they are more adventurous, and they don't like to repeat the same destination, so they need help to find new destinations. That's where Tripaya comes in. And we are trying now to build a community of people that enjoy to travel and enjoy to find new destinations. And that's what you say, and we are now starting to do. We have a blog, the social media.
Yeah.
That's,
and make sure the other thing that you're doing with the blog is that make sure you're actually doing like regular sort of like newsletters, because here's why it's actually worthwhile, particularly for your space, of actually investing into good content, because that content can be used over and over again, and especially as you start getting more traction on the content, it actually helps a lot on SEO.
Yeah.
It's actually, that's the main reason. If you think about where most of the growth should come from, if you're looking for organic stuff, SEO is very, very important. But it is an investment. It's a 6 to 9 month investment for you. We'll start seeing a lot of results. But if that's the direction you want to go, I would focus a lot on that. Yeah. At least that's my impression.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the team?
Excuse me?
Can you talk about the different people in the team? And
So my experience has been in the last 10 years in digital marketing. I have no experience in travel. I already worked in different sectors like real estate, distribution, automotive. But I think not have experience in travel is actually good because I don't have preconceived ideas. So I built Tripaya as the point of view of the user. So, and I think that's why it works so good, because we created as what we don't like in the other side. So we take off what we don't like and we add what we always wanted to the other sites to have. And then the other guys of the team are all developers. They all have experience, as I said before, developing travel solutions.
I would offer two pieces of advice with the caveat that this is not my space. One of them is you articulated a thesis, which was both the investment thesis and the thesis for your company, which is that you're going to carve a niche for yourself in this space through superior UI and the love of the users who are going to be just in love with the experience that you're giving them, right? That's not really right now about growth, right? And so I think the implication of that is that you need to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt. In other words, all the metrics on engagement and conversions and, you know, enough stories of people that came in and searched for Texas and ended up in the igloo in Finland because your site pushed them to something that, right? You're going to need to find metrics that prove to anyone who looks at this that, wow, these guys have indeed figured something out in terms of the experience and this is how they measure that, right? The second thing I would encourage you is to remain in control of the company. And what I mean by that is
control of?
In control of the destiny of the company, right? Because the travel space is so challenging, and because, on the other hand, there's all these investors running around that will probably throw money at you, right? But as soon as they throw money at you, they're going to up the burn rate, they're going to demand faster growth, and until you have nailed completely the core thesis, your ability to prove your thesis, throwing more money into growth just to keep some investor happy because they took a gamble is going to lead to disaster, because your burn rate's going to go up and your growth isn't going to go up as fast and you'll be dead, right? So I think I would, in your case, this is sort of not the conventional wisdom, but I would keep an eye on break even as much as I can, keep an eye on runway, and just be able to execute and land the plane, you know, even if it's a short flight, right? But just be able to land the plane, right? And only take investor money when you yourself are 1,000% confident that you know what to do with it to drive growth. Because tweaking, you know, the UX and the UI and doing the content marketing and a lot of the stuff that is aligned with your thesis, because that's the thesis, right? Doesn't require huge piles of investor money, right? If you take those piles, you're going to lose control. So in your case, I would say until you have that nailed completely and can talk about the metrics to prove it, be really careful about upping the burn rate.
Well, actually, we were considered by Skyscanner, our partner, as a case study of success of implementation of their API. They are very happy with our work. They say that an average of all their partners have an average of 10% of conversion rates, and we are getting 16%. So we are getting great feedback from our main partner. But of course, we are always tweaking, always trying to change. We want to change this 60% to 20%, and when we arrive to 20, when we will want to change to 22, never stop working.
Good. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.